Hi guys, I'm Emily, and welcome to Trust Me, It's Worth It, the podcast where each week I'm going to choose a film, TV show, or game that I love and force my boyfriend to watch it or play it for at least an hour.
And I'm Mike, the boyfriend, and I'll retaliate with something that I love and force Emily to watch and enjoy that for at least an hour.
Oh, great. After that hour, we'll reconvene to discuss if it was worth our time and if we'll finish watching it. Are you ready, Mike?
Oh, I'm ready. Yeah, I mean, this really just came about because we would always argue about what I'd be like, this show's really good, you need to watch it. And you'd be like, no, this show's really good, you need to watch it. So now we've made a game about it, and we're going to force
each other to watch this.
Yeah. My idea is that usually when I force you to watch things, you do usually quite like them and you could like my recommendations.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that forcing you to watch something for an hour, you'll be like, yeah, that is quite good. And we'll watch more of it.
Yeah,
together.
This is true. So, this week, I'm bringing to the table Netflix's new film from last month, Tall Girl.
And I'm going to bring, because Tall Girl, you've told me a bit about it, it's about a girl dealing with prejudice, about being tall and how hard that can be. I thought I'd bring an equally hard-pressing film, District 9, which is all about racism in South Africa.
Yeah, they sound so similar.
I thought I'd try and trump your difficulties. It's so hard being tall and blonde and beautiful. Oh, this person's a prawn.
Yeah. So basically, this week's episode is Tall Girl versus...
District 9.
The first thing we need to do is pitch the show to each other. So if you want, I'll go first.
Yeah,
Tall Girl. So this is a new film on Netflix. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory in the title. It is about a tall girl, 6'1.5".
That is quite tall.
Precise.
That's pretty tall. As a small man, I take. I'd probably be a bit spooked by it.
A bit intimidated.
Yeah, so maybe that's what the film's about. I'm just going to go on a limb and be like, it's about a boy who's smaller than her. It's like, I'm scared of her. But also, he fancies her. Right. And he's got a weird complex where he's like, I'm into her, but she's also massive. But then she's like, I'm not into him, he's tiny, I don't like small boys. I feel like the film is mostly about how hard it is for her being tall.
I mean, you were semi right there. There is a love interest with a small boy, and she's like, no, you are too small. So yeah, it's about how she essentially deals with the issues of being really tall, because she gets bullied for it. It's interesting, all the guys are smaller than her, so none of them want to date her because
bullied for being tall. Now, I've never had this problem. However,
as a small boy, I imagine so.
You're a small boy. No, but to me, the thing with that is like, someone's like, how's the weather up there, tall guy? And you're like, yeah, it's fine. I'm just going to knee you in the face now. Like, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to nibble on your ankles.
Yeah,
You're bigger than them. You're physically larger. Like, that's like saying, oh my God, he's so muscular. Like, what a prig. He's got so many big muscles. Like, let's make fun of big muscly guy. Well, he's just turn around and pick you up and snap your spine, I suppose.
I think the main message of Tall Girl, which I think you will get in the first hour, because it's only about an hour and a half, so you are going to want to go back and watch the last half. You are, because trust me, it is worth it.
Oh, got the title in.
I think is how she deals with, essentially what everyone deals with, men, women, is that kind of body confidence and the fact that she is really tall. And it's something you can't change. It's not like your hairstyle, if you're uncomfortable with it, you're stuck with being that tall. I don't have this problem, because for those of you who don't know me, I'm 5'1.5".
The half is important.
It's incredibly important, which means that I don't have this issue. The issue I have is that the fact that she can reach the top shelf, I can't.
There were some golden nuggets in the shop.
I could probably be part of their second film, Small Girl. I could probably star in that.
In the girl universe.
Yeah, exactly. Next we're going to have medium height girl.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to the actual plot. I think you'll enjoy it because it is about that kind of body confidence in something that you wouldn't necessarily see. Because admittedly, when you look at actors, they're all generally the same height. Like, although Tom Cruise is apparently 5'1", somehow they managed to make him and Cameron Diaz.
5'1", he's not that short.
He's like 5'3". He's a really small man.
3. I think you're doing him a disservice. I think you might be 5'5".
He's a small man. Okay. And either way, they managed to make him and Cameron Diaz look the same height, and she is definitely taller.
So again, though, that sounds more like the problem of being tiny Tom Cruise, not of being giant Cameron Diaz.
I suppose, but they're more likely, because Tom Cruise is more famous, is to find someone the same height as him rather than someone who's 6'1".
It's so hard to be tall and beautiful. There's so many careers where I could be a model. Like, oh, what a difficult career.
That's a whole issue in itself. We'll come on to that later.
Wait, what do you like about Tall Girl?
I think I quite like the storyline. There's definitely bits I don't enjoy about it. I'm going to say that now.
Okay.
But I enjoy the story in general. I think it's one of those light-hearted sort of teen comedies where you know what you're getting. And I think occasionally I miss that in a film. Like, I don't want it to be Inception where I've got to take notes and like crack a code and go and see the Mystic Dragon just to work out what's happening.
There's a dragon in Inception.
There may well be. It's that complex. But I like the fact that Tall Girl it's lighthearted, but it does deal with a serious issue. It might deal with it in a slightly like comedic way in the fact that her issue is she's tall, but it deals with something that everyone goes through, which is body confidence.
So this is a sort of target market of young girls, helping them
I'd
deal
say
with
so.
that, feeling a bit gawky and awkward. Gotcha. I mean, District 9 is actually very similar.
Yeah, go on, pitch District 9 to me, go on.
It's all about prawns feeling... No. So District 9 it's a pretty on-the-nose racism allegory. It's about... I mean, just by the fact that it's set in Johannesburg in South Africa, means it's pretty obvious that it's really about racism. So the plot is 30 years in the past, something like that. A spaceship appears over Johannesburg, and inside are all these aliens that are malnourished and dying, and they look like big shrimp people. Hence they all call them prawns. Their technology isn't good enough, or they've run out of fuel. I can't remember exactly what it is, but they can't leave, so they're stuck on Earth. The South African government creates a slum for them to live in, District 9, which is basically a bit like the jungle or something, like one of the refugee camps in Calais. And they all live there, and they're treated like second-class citizens because they're literally aliens. Okay. So it's like I say, it's a pretty on-the-nose, hey look, this is apartheid in South Africa. They look so physically different to humans. Yeah. So it's easy to... It does sound
a lot deeper than Tall Girl.
Yeah, well, I was like, you were like, oh, it's about the difficulty of her being different. And I was like, I'll show you a film about the difficulty of being different. The plot revolves around a guy who, I don't want to spoil too much, but he basically starts to experience what it would have been like to be one of the aliens, to be a prawn. Yeah, but yeah, it's a good sci-fi film. It's got some very cool sci-fi design.
Okay,
if you
why
like
is it
aliens,
you like it?
I like it for that reason as well, just the fact that I think is aesthetically quite pleasing. It's quite action-packed, a lot of things go on. I think it's not a genius film about racism, but it is clever in the fact that I think it makes it very simple and easy to digest. We can relate quite easily as to why people would be disgusted and treat these outside other people. Because they are literally others and they are literally aliens in the sense that we refer to immigrants perhaps, whatever country you're from. They are by definition someone outside alien. That's what it's making a point about, and you see the terrible treatment that these aliens go through and you start to sympathise with a horrible prawn creature. So that to me is good filmmaking.
Okay, so as long as I come out sympathising with prawns, we'll be fine. I'm not like that does sound a heck of a lot deeper.
I've already won.
Than Tall Girl. I've not seen that. I'm going to keep my mind open. My mind is open.
Yeah. My disclaimer for you though is you're not big on gruesome.
I'm really not. Things. I'm horrible with any kind of horror.
I haven't seen the film for a while, but I do remember there being a bit of almost body horror.
Oh, goody.
But you've got to watch it now.
Yeah, I know. This is the horrible thing. You could make me watch anything and I just have to watch it.
Them's the rules.
Man, I've given you way too much power. Okay, guys, so we're going to end this here. We've got to go away now. We've got to watch an hour each. And then we've got to come back and see why it is worth it.
District 9 is worth it.
No, trust me. Tall Girl, trust me, is worth it. Hey guys, welcome back. I mean, for you, it's been about 2 seconds. For me and Mike, it's been, 2 hours now?
Well, our plan normally was just record them, give our hour. We just have 1 hour between us and we go away and watch them. But since both the things we wanted to watch were on Netflix, we watched our hours together. Yeah. And then I guess now this is the chance at the end of this, maybe we'll go back and finish watching either of them, both of them, or neither of them.
Yeah, depending on how we found it.
Yeah, you look a bit traumatised. So we just finished watching District 9. Well, an hour of it. 58 minutes and 1 second according to Netflix. And you look a bit, traumatised.
I feel a bit traumatised.
I forgot how stressful it was.
I'm not going to lie to you. It's not anything how I imagined it to be. I was quite happy when it said Peter Jackson on it. I was like, oh, cool, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit. Oh. And I started off feeling quite like, oh, this is going to be quite nice. It's quite documentary style.
It's got that found footage vibe to it.
I enjoyed that at the start. I thought that was a really interesting way of finding out the backstory, essentially, of what happened. I thought that was a really interesting way rather than it going from the beginning.
Also, I'd kind of forgotten that they did that thing where they intersplice some of the footage as if it's a documentary about the main character, Vickers.
Yeah.
So, I guess maybe people that don't know what happens in the plot and where we're up to, so this isn't a spoiler for anything later that Emily hasn't seen. The main character, Vickers, works for MNU, which is a company that makes weapons, and has also been put in charge of getting rid of all of the prawns, the aliens that live in District 9 they have to evict them, and they're going to move them to a different district because the South Africans are sick of living next to them.
Yeah.
And basically, they see them as second-class citizens and gross horrible prawns that are causing trouble and violence, so they kick them out and they want to move them to a new location. And Vickers is involved in this. He's promoted to be in charge of this eviction, and while he's evicting, he finds a vial and accidentally sprays himself in the face. Yeah. And then he becomes very sick and then starts turning into one of the aliens. He starts transforming.
Yeah, so admittedly, when it started and I was watching that documentary style, I saw a lot of similarities between the film and essentially the world as we know it. It felt...
Oh, right, yeah. Well, I mean, it's pretty on the nose.
It's
not
very on the
subtle.
nose. It is very much a mirror, I feel, of society. That's not going deep.
It's holding up a mirror to society.
Yeah, essentially is, really, isn't it?
That's what they're trying to do.
That's what they're trying to do. And I think they did that very well. I was very much all the way through that hour. I was kind of back and forthing on who I felt sorry for. I automatically felt sorry for the aliens, the prawns as they were, because I was just like, they have legal documents to evict them and they're meant to give them 24 hours notice and they don't. And I was like, oh, they're not really doing anything.
Also, the whole, like, as they even bring up the legality of what they're doing is supposed to be bad, and the way they get signatures, they point a gun at them and they slap the form, and then they're like, yeah, you're slapped, that counts, that's a good signature.
Yeah, so I felt really sorry for them in that, but obviously the moment he gets sprayed and he starts turning into this alien, I suppose he's on the other side then. And all the way through, I just felt really sorry for him. Well, and I was just very much like...
Yeah, I mean, I've been to Johannesburg, and you drive through, there are slums that do look like this sort of shanty towns. Yeah. Although, weirdly, they all have satellite dishes when I went. It's kind of a strange thing. But, the analogy isn't very subtle. This is racism in South Africa. Yeah. This is the way... I mean, I think also, I don't know too much about it, but I think it's based on a real... I say based on real. I think there's a place called like District 6 or something, an actual place in Johannesburg where there was essentially a slum created, and I think maybe during apartheid, and I don't know much about apartheid history, but it's pretty clear what they're getting at here. You've seen the bit now where they accuse him of having sex with the aliens, and that's why he's transforming.
And that's why he's transforming. I like about all the things that could have happened, like he could have got bitten by one or anything, like, or even just being sprayed. How is that any worse? But like, nah, he had sex with a fucking prawn. I'm like, well, is that really what we must go to? That he had sexual relationships with an alien?
But that's what they're doing. They're vilifying sexual relations with someone of a different race. Like, that's the point. There's a white guy having sex with black people, and then he's like impure now and tainted.
But if I may poke a hole in that, they literally said within the first half an hour that there was interracial sex between prostitutes, with female human prostitutes and these aliens.
Well, that's exactly why it shows that I think that's what they're making a point about, the media having the power to manipulate truth.
For me, seeing this is not unheard of for them to have sex. And come on, let's face it, if you can think of it, there's probably porn about it.
That's
bottom
very
line.
True. Yeah, Mass Effect Varen porn is a real thing. Yeah. So why I know that, don't ask. But,
exactly. But I suppose I probably look a bit traumatised, is because admittedly I'm a massive wimp. Any kind of horror, especially when it comes to like human...
There's a lot of body horror in this, isn't there?
That, like, the body horror gets me. Like, there's a lot of, like, testing on him.
Peeling off his fingernails.
Peeling off his fingernails creeped me out. His teeth fall out, that freaked me out. They were about to, like, just cut through him while he was still alive. And I found it so bizarre, I suppose, especially because obviously he has such a close connection with, like, the guy in charge, who's, like, his father-in-law. Yeah. I found it very strange that all of a sudden he can be on the top of his operation and he's leading the documentary and he's so great, to all of a sudden... when he's on the other side, they couldn't care less for his well-being, and it's about selling him for parts, essentially.
Well, I think the main reason that they make him the son-in-law of the CEO of the company is just so that they can show how evil the company is. So
it's one hell of an evil company. I am not working for it.
This film isn't very subtle, is it? I think it's clever, but it's not subtle. It's very... Companies can do bad when they just look for profits, and especially weapons companies, and also racism is bad. Like, that's... It's pretty out and out about what they think about the world. But I do think it does paint a powerful message. You know, like you said, you immediately start to sympathise with different characters depending on how the way the context is shown and who's the main character suddenly. Because we've got to the point in the film where he's now met up with the alien. So
cute alien. Oh, the alien's little son. So cute.
It's cute.
Apparently everything in tiny form is adorable.
Like,
yeah. Like, think about it. Anything in tiny form is adorable. I always think this because if you think of Voldemort, pretty creepy dude, turn him down into like teeny tiny size. Oh, cute.
Wait,
Voldemort.
sorry, are you saying in episode 4, you know, the fourth Harry Potter film where they drop like the ragged fetus Voldemort, you would cuddle that?
I'm saying anything tiny. And when I say tiny, I mean like the size of maybe an egg.
No, but okay, so you know in the fourth, we're getting a little bit off topic here, but you know in the fourth Harry Potter film, Goblet of Fire, is it Peter Pettigrew has the little like
pushes him into the little cauldron.
He's got little baby Voldemort in a rag, and he tips him into the cauldron. Would you like? Oh, is it Voldemort?
Yeah, you're telling me you wouldn't?
Yes, I'm telling you, I wouldn't. He's
okay,
a
well,
horrible skeletal little.
Maybe it's just me. Clearly, I find anything small adorable. That's probably why I find
We're
going to
definitely link this into Tall Girl now. Like, cute, that small things are always cute. Now, Tall Girl, she's ugly and giant.
But yeah, to go back on topic, the little baby alien is adorable. You're like, oh, tiny mini alien. But yeah,
I've been enjoying it, actually. That's the key question. Because that's the main thing about an entertainment product. It should make you entertained. Were you entertained?
Okay, so admittedly, I think I was entertained up until a point, and then, especially for me, this won't be for everyone, the moment the body horror came in, my brain just went, oh my gosh, no, I can't deal with this. And I was essentially hiding behind my pillow.
It's quite stressful to watch, actually.
Because it's very stressful. It doesn't hold back the horror. It's very much in the forefront. It's not like where you kind of imagine what happens off camera. It's very much in the forefront of the camera. This is what is going to happen.
I actually think almost him being sweaty and ill is the worst part.
Yeah, you feel for him. Like, I can see a picture of him right now.
Everyone's been really flu, you know, everyone's been so ill that they're like sweating and being sick and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like a horrible, horrible illness.
This is just it. Like, I can see a picture of him right now and I'm still slightly creeped out by him and my heart rate still feels slightly high because I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going to happen to him next? Like, is he going to try and cut the rest of his hand off again? Because I essentially jumped out of my seat at that point.
Do you think his costume design / whoever made him have that slicked, horrible hair and the creepy mustache? So the main character is this white South African dude and he's got a bit of like a creepy pencil mustache. He's always wearing those like vests and his hair's like slicked down with too much gel and sort of comb over look, and he's kind of a creepy guy, you know. You'd think he might be on a record somewhere and not allowed to near a school. I think it's a fair thing to say. Do you think that plays into how you feel about him?
Yeah, 100%.
You're kind of disgusted by him.
I think it's because from the beginning, I don't see him as a strong character. It's not like, I don't know, Thor with Chris Hemsworth, where you're just like, who's just like huge and muscular, and like, oh, this guy's going to protect me. Bless him. This guy is quite small. He's essentially quite weedy. And so all the way through, you just know that he probably can't take much. Do you know what I mean?
I see what you mean, yeah.
Like,
so he's
not
fragile.
He's very fragile. I don't feel like he's going to come back for this. I don't think he's going to save the day. And so I genuinely feel sorry for him. And I really applaud like the design department and the costume department and just the special effects department on this film for managing to make him look in such a short space of time deteriorated so much. It feels like every time he steps on camera,
he's very good at looking sweaty.
a little bit less of him has gone.
Yeah.
And he's a little bit less there. And it's just so...
Do you like the
creepy
design of the prawns? Because I actually think that's one of the best things they've done. They've made them look very alien. You know, the way they walk, the way their little chest.
Yeah, I was gonna say their little chest antennae. Like they essentially look a bit like a crab in that sense, where you know, and they have like the slightly smaller arms.
Like fins underneath.
Yeah, I think they look really cool because somehow they look.
This film was from 2009, so I think the special effects are quite good for the time.
I think somehow they've managed to make them look both intimidating and also just very nice at the same time. Like, I don't know how to explain it because like you see them and they don't look very threatening. I think maybe it's just the way they act in the film because obviously they are essentially the inferior race, if that's what we're saying in this. That's what the humans have perceived them as.
Right, yeah.
I think because they always look like they're a bit dishevelled, never quite there. I don't think they look and they're always a bit in tattered clothing. I don't think they look particularly intimidating. Yeah. But then I can imagine if you made one really angry, I'd be running.
Well, I mean, there's one character, the one just rips someone's arm off at the start.
Yeah, exactly. Also, they make human death look so casual in this. Like, it's not a big thing. It's like, oh yeah, just shove that leg in a bin bag. Derek's gone.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't look like a big thing. All of a sudden...
But I think they're trying to show how this place is basically just run down and horrible in general.
Oh,
you know, that the... I mean, one of my favourite parts about it was... You know, I said it's not very subtle, but they had moments of of slightly more subtlety where, you know, there's one alien. They talk about the fact that they all seem to be like workers, like worker ants, basically, and they don't have much intellect. And then there's one who's becoming one of the main characters now that's clearly more intelligent and is building... So he's trying to build an escape home, and the fluid that the main character was sprayed with in the face was like the fuel or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So he clearly more intelligent, but when they find he's got a house, you know, when Vickers finds he's got a house full of computer parts, he thinks he's like stolen and he's decorating his house with them.
Yeah.
And it's the same, you can see that same ideology being used against another race.
Yeah.
That one superior race might say, oh, you know, by virtue of the fact that they could never be smart enough to build a computer.
Yeah.
Therefore, when they have built a computer, it must be because they've done something criminal and evil, or like someone else has helped them with it, or they've done, you know, X, Y, Z. There's always an excuse.
100%.
So there are some little, slightly more subtle
I think,
nods,
yeah,
but as I say, it's so blatant about this
so
is
blatant.
a film about racism.
I love the theme of the film, and it is, as you say, it's very blatant, it's very in your face, and it doesn't need to be subtle in a way. It's like, this is what happens. This probably happens a lot in real life.
Or I think more like historically in South Africa, I think they're...
Yeah,
saying, I mean,
exactly.
I don't know,
and so I quite enjoyed like getting from those parallels and being like, yeah, you feel really sorry for the prawns, the alien people, and I was just like, this is terrible. Why would we ever let this happen? But people have.
I'm quite impressed that the filmmakers have made you sympathise with these horrible looking
prawns.
I didn't. The fact that you think they're cute.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think I'd sympathise with them. Like, I saw them, and then I think the moment I saw them, when they have that first scene where they open up and they all look so blessed and dishevelled, and like they've been in this spaceship for 3 months because they couldn't get it open or whatever. And my first thought is, oh, bless them. Which is not what you think, because when you think of Alien, you literally think of the film Alien with someone coming out of someone's like chest cavity.
Well, I thought that was quite a clever scene, because when I first saw that, I was like, oh, they're all like manky and rancid in this place. It reminded me of Dead Space.
Yeah.
Or something coming into this room and you're like, oh, what are these things? And you don't really get a good look at one until a bit later on in the film. Yeah, you're enjoying, you know, how do you feel about...
I think it's the body horror that gets it for me. I think if that was toned down...
Do you want to find out what happens in the end?
My issue is yes, but I just don't think I could carry on watching it. This is the horrible thing that I have this internal struggle with, where I'm like, yeah, I kind of want to know what happens to this poor guy this happened to. But also, my brain just can't quite get over the amount of body horror, and I'm such a wimp, and I'm so terrible with any kind of physical horror, especially when it's human body horror. That freaks me out.
Well, you'd be happy to know that next week my choice will be District 9 Part 2.
So I think at the moment I'm kind of in between. I'm still thinking about it. So let's put that aside for now. And
I'm going to get on my notes that I wrote for Tall
You were
Girl.
making a lot of notes, but you also were laughing a bit. I did notice this. So tell me your first thoughts on Tall Girl. For those of you who don't know, obviously this is Netflix's new film, and it has actually, before you say anything, it's done quite well. Apparently it was viewed by I think it was something like 41 million households in the first 28 days of release.
Yeah, you got to bear in mind though, those are people that already have Netflix. Looking at something horrible on the internet is also free. Like, I don't want people to Google this, but you know, like blue waffle and goat soup.
Oh
are
yeah,
things
let's
that
not,
we all
please,
had
guys.
But you know, millions of people I'm sure have seen that, but I wouldn't say that was a good thing.
You've just moved our age rating from 15 to like 18 plus. Thanks for that.
Well, I mean, we watched
so yeah, for those of you who don't know, Tall Girl is essentially a tale about this girl who apparently gets bullied for being tall, and this short guy who always carries around a milk crate for some unknown reason fancies her, but she won't date him because she's taller than him. And then just at the pinnacle, this really tall guy walks in that's like 2 inches taller than her, really good looking, from Sweden, and there's a sort of romance, but he's already dating someone else. Yes. And it's about how she kind of deals with that, essentially.
Well, okay, so, let me give you my thoughts on Tall Girl. Big problem, Tall Girl. That is literally the film. In fact, good drinking game. I'd recommend watching this film purely for this drinking game. Drink anytime someone says the words tall or girl and you'll be hammered, because they say it constantly. They wrangle the name of the film into it so frequently, and not just like, oh, I'm so tall, and then later on, I'm a girl. They actually say, I'm such a tall girl. You're such a tall girl. I can't believe you're such a tall girl. They need to find some synonyms. I mean, right from the start, my first note was blue books, yellow books. They have this quite cool stylistic shot right at the start where she's having a conversation with this guy, and behind him are a load of yellow books, I think, and behind her are a load of blue books. So it looks really artsy. Yeah. I was like, that looks quite cool. And then it's immediately squashed by the scene where she stands up and they make him look tiny and her look massive. This whole film is I can't believe it got made, to be quite frank with you. It's one person's idea of like, we should make a film about how hard it is to be a tall girl, because I was a tall girl. Like, this is, I bet the producer or whoever got this funded or made was the person that it's about. or felt somehow very, I don't know, in line with it, because I can't believe it got made. It's just that premise. That's all it is. It's one joke, one line. And I made the comment before you started watching it about how's the weather up there. That happens in the first 2 minutes of the film.
Say, just listen to this.
16 years old, 6'1.5".
Well, how's the weather up there?
Nice sweatpants, Sasquatch.
You did make that point, and I was like, has he already seen it? Does he already know this line? How did you know this? And then when it came on and you laughed at me, I was like, oh, he actually just didn't.
Also, the film states its theme in the first 30 seconds, because the two characters, when they're doing the yellow books, blue books thing, they're talking about alienation as a theme in the book that they're reading.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but giggle that I'd chosen District 9.
I was about to say, I was like, that's a pretty clear link right there.
Because they make a joke in the thing that he's like, oh, I love aliens. Where's that in the book? And she's like, no, alienation's silly. That's about people being treated differently. And you're like, oh my God, do you want to be more obvious about what this is about? But then also perfectly slides into, I chose a film about aliens that is about alienation. So, perfect. Also, here's a good question.
Yeah.
So in that start thing, the boy is like the love interest. Why is the love interest always thick in these films? Like in Mean Girls, Aaron... I love Mean Girls. They're a great film. Maybe I shouldn't bring that up. But the love interest is always stupid and the main character is always very bright. Is that because we're seeing it through the lens of the main character and we're meant to think we're
Do you mean,
intelligent?
is it Stig, as in the Swedish guy, the main character?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, I wrote this note because that very first guy that appears is stupid and she's coaching him on his book report.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't know. I think it was just, to give her a sense of who she is. I suppose it's more of a talking point. Like, you need something at the beginning, don't you? And it's her being like, I'm so smart because I spend my time in the library so I can sit down and not be tall.
That's her personality trait. I think they were trying to establish she's intelligent as well as tall. She has other things
She has other things that she's good at.
Also, I've literally never heard any of the tall insults.
Does this give you idea for new tall insults?
What do they say? They say something. I can't remember what it is. Like, they say, how's the weather up there? But they're also... Course. Oh, yeah, she's like, oh my God, it's so hot. The monologue, I need to compose myself because it's too good. She actually says... In fact, we need to play a clip of it. She actually says, blah, 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 it's so hard being me. Try being me when your life is being tall. Like, that's actually what she says. She says something almost directly the lines of... I think maybe
just add in,
you think life is hard? She says, you think life is hard? Try being me wearing size 13 Nike shoes at age 16.
Yeah. So let's just hear that for those people who can't quite understand Mike there.
You think your life is hard? I'm a high school junior wearing size 13 Nikes. Men's size 13 Nikes. Beat that.
I mean, it's an interesting comparison where her literal issue is that she's 6'1.5" and she wears size 13 Nikes.
I can't tell if the film is self-aware about how ridiculous it is, because then there's a scene where the mum is talking about... She's like, my childhood was really hard too. And she's like, no, it wasn't, Mum. You had 9 guys ask you to prom and you were the most beautiful girl. And she was like, yeah, it was really hard because although I was so beautiful, none of the other girls wanted to be friends with me. She's like, does that count as hardship? And the main character's like, no, Mum, it doesn't. I was like, is this a parody? Are you aware that you're saying... Because to me, I was watching this, like, the joke is that this is a very rich, very happy... Like, her life is amazing, this tall girl, the main character. Super rich American, who is good looking, let's be frank well. Who's really tall, which is to most people would be considered a plus. She seems to have just a good life. She's clearly intelligent, and she's bitching about how hard her life is. And her mum's then talking about how hard her life was. And we're supposed to, as the audience, be like, oh, that's so ridiculous. Her life wasn't hard. She was beautiful and popular and had everything she wanted. But then she also opens up about the fact that she didn't really have any friends, which is worse than the tall girl's problem. Like, that's actually a more interesting premise and problem. Someone that's really popular or appears popular but actually has no friends. I don't know. I couldn't tell if it was taking itself seriously or not because of things like that. What are my other notes?
I was going to say, what did you... So obviously it went on from that. The love interest comes in. He is now apparently back in Sweden, he is the nerd, whereas here he seems to be like the most popular guy in school.
I'm okay with that joke, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of funny that... Because I'm going to view it in a positive note of it's a very stylized reality. People don't talk to each other like that.
No.
And I take it that that's sort of American films and that I quite like American teen movies, and I accept that it's stylized. People talk too quickly than they actually would in real life. Everyone's witty, everyone's got to come back. Also, people will do weird things like sit on a toilet and eat their lunch, or like sit and read, and that's not weird, and only their best friend will know that they're in that cubicle. Stuff like that. Like, you just accept that's the way they interact, even though no human has ever interacted like that.
I suppose not, but I think the whole like eating lunch in a toilet, people have done that. If you're getting bullied, that has happened.
Okay, but the piano scene. So there's a scene where she's trying to hide. The main character, tall girl, is trying to. I don't even know her name. Jodie. I remember.
Jodie.
So Jodie is trying to hide from her nemesis, the popular girl at school, and she just walks backwards into a room, and it's the classic. She's walked backwards into a room, doesn't realise what room she's in. But rather than it being embarrassing and weird, she's in the music studio, and the boy she really fancies, Stig, the Swedish guy, is sitting there playing the piano, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just playing the piano. Do you want to come join?" And they have this weird romantic moment where they both play the piano, and
sing.
It's so unrealistic. It's so bizarre.
Oh, for sure.
I can't get behind the romance of it because it's so out there. Like, I can't put myself in that situation because that would never happen. It's not a meet cute. It's not an actual...
Yeah.
Put it this way, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, one of my favourite films, that has a really good meet cute scene where he's really awkwardly talking to Ramona Flowers, and I relate more to that awkward conversation than I do to Jodie being like...
I mean, to be fair, you are an awkward person, though. You're never going to sit by a piano and sing, Mike.
Oh, calm down. Maybe I'll learn.
Yeah, I totally get that. Like, but then I'm quite happy to like suspend my belief for a bit, just because I'm like, this is quite a cute scene. Like, it's very awkward. I'm not gonna lie to you. And she's just like, oh, I've got these big hands, and he's like, yeah, they're just hands.
I forgot that's like the worst problem she has.
Yeah,
I've got very big hands.
I think we should move on to what I assumed.
Objects I pick up look small.
I'm going to move on to what I assumed was your favourite scene, which is when she goes home to meet the Tip Toppers.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I've written in my notes the Tip Toppers scene pushed me over the edge.
And I could see you slightly. That was coming to sort of the end of our hour there, and the Tip Topper scene, if I may. So essentially, her dad is very worried at the fact she's so tall, and apparently to try and make her feel better about being tall, is he invites a tall club, because apparently that's a thing that exists, over to their house to show her that there are lots of other tall people and she's not the only one, but they're dressed in what I can only class as like bad sailor outfits with like hats that say Tip Toppers on it, and they have like an anthem, a theme song that they sing. And admittedly, I think if my parents did that to me with like a small club, my facial expression would be the exact same as Jodie's, where I'm like, what the hell have you invited these people around for?
Because it's totally insane. But the dad is also like criminally insane at the start, where he's like, my daughter's too tall, we need to give her drugs to make her small. She's not even that tall. 6'1" isn't that tall. If she was 8 feet tall, and this is a story of like the BFG, I'd be like, fair play, she's massive. This is maybe something to worry about. She's probably got gigantism.
Yeah.
Maybe that should be looked at by medical professionals. She's not that big. She's not huge. I don't understand the problem. You know, I would understand as well, more so, like, she was really tall, and so her dad was like, you got to get into sports, and her dad put a lot of pressure on her to be an athlete, or something like that. That, to me, would have made a lot more sense and been a reasonable parental pressure on her.
Yeah.
And also that maybe would have put an interesting spin on the hard being tall thing, because rather than just being her dad doesn't like that she's tall, it would be her dad really likes that she's tall and makes that her entire personality, and she can't escape from being so tall because dad's always like, you got to play the next basketball match or whatever it is that people do in the US.
Fair.
My ultimate takeaway from this film is that it's nothing to do with being tall. It's just a film about how crap it is to be in an American school. I
mean, I feel like that's any American school
They
film.
just make it look horrid. Are people actually this nasty all the time?
Apparently in every American school, yes. To be fair, I've not said, but the main reason I ever watched Tall Girl is because the main actress in it, who is called Ava, she was on another show that I used to watch, well, still watch, and I'm obsessed with, which is Dance Mums. And if you've not watched it and you're obsessed with mums screaming at each other and kids dancing, highly recommend you watch it, with Abby Lee Miller. But Ava was on there, and she was on for a few seasons, and she was on a select team that Abby put together, and she got cut for being too tall, and Abby continuously...
This film is just a spite.
She continuously was ripped by Abby, who called her like a praying mantis, and that gave her a lot of social media backlash. So I think one of the main reasons I like this is...
So
even if
that we District 9 where they actually look like praying mantises.
I think even though, you know, the film might not be like in the top, I think I enjoy it just because, you know, that's not something you should have to hear whatever age she was. And now at 16, like, her height, even if it's just for this one film and she can't be in any other film, has been an asset to her.
Can I just say, though, that if the worst thing that had happened to me was being called a praying mantis on a popular television show, and then my revenge was to make a film in which I starred in it. I'm feeling less and less sorry for her as time goes on.
I suppose so. So yeah, okay, let's get down to the basics then. Do you think it's worth continuing? I think you've got about 50 minutes left.
Oh, I don't know.
Do you want to carry on?
Do you know what? It's kind of fun. It's just stupid. There's nothing to it. There is
Right.
nothing to this film.
But is it worth it?
I would never recommend it to anyone, but I do kind of want to know what happens. I want to know what happens to Stieg. I want to know if she actually gets with him. And I think maybe that's more for my own self-martyrdom of self-flagellation of wanting to find out what I hate about it most. I think that's actually what it is.
I mean, I'm gonna
enjoying
take that as it's worth it, because you're like, even if it's because I don't like it, it's worth for me finishing. It's worth your time, is what you're telling me right now.
I think I'm saying I watch it in the way I enjoy the film The Room.
Yeah.
Which is one of the worst films ever made, but also probably one of the best films to watch because it's so bad it's just fun. And this is kind of one of those. Yeah. It's so bad it's fun. It's just a teen film, so you can't expect too much from it anyway. But I think as teen films go, it is particularly stupid, particularly shallow, particularly about nothing.
I just need a yes or no, Mike. Come on.
I think I'll probably finish watching it. Yeah.
Amazing. So District 9. Oh, I've been thinking about this, and I was thinking about it while I was watching the film. And I'm not gonna lie to you, for me, it's not worth it. I don't want to know what happens.
It's
I can't.
so much more engaging.
No, I can't deal with the body horror. I would honestly be quite happy if I didn't have to watch the rest of it.
Really, you don't want to know what happens?
Really, I don't. I'm honestly. I mean,
not
presumably
bothered. You want to know what happens, but not badly enough.
Yeah, essentially, I'm slightly intrigued, not enough to carry on watching it. For some people, it would definitely be worth
what
it.
If you knew there was no more body horror in the rest of the film? Because I can't remember if there is, to be honest.
Yes, quite possibly, but even then, I can't guarantee that. I think if you're not scared by anything, if you're quite a fan of body horror, it might be worth it for you, and I would highly recommend watching it if you're really intrigued by the themes we've talked about. But personally, I just can't see myself wanting to watch more. I'm not interested enough.
I can't believe that. You've disappointed me. It's such a more engaging story. I want to watch the story about the girl who's too tall. She's too tall. Not about the bloody prawns from outer space that have come to end racism.
I'm sorry. I think what we've taken away from this week, guys, is surprisingly, Tall Girl has won.
I can't believe this.
Mike's
Peter Jackson's
devastated.
Weeping.
So that is 1-0 to Emily.
Gandalf is upset with you. Ian McKellen would never be happy with
That's 1-0 to Emily. So I hope you enjoyed listening this week, guys. We definitely enjoyed doing it. And next week, we will be back with another one because, trust me, it is worth it.
I don't think Tall Girl was worth it.